welcome back to another episode of Hey Alexa. Today I have Leslie Murphy, an acupuncturist, a chronic pain warrior, and she's also the blogger of She Reads Romance Books. She does everything. It's so cool. And I'm so excited to get to know her and talk to her about her journey from chronic pain to acupuncturist. So here she is. Hi, Leslie. How are you?
Hi, Alexa. I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. I was reading your bio before, and you've just done so much, and it's so cool. I'm very impressed.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's been a lot of hard work, but all very gratifying.
I'm sure. Yeah, I understand completely. So one thing I like to kind of do is start from the beginning. So you were not an acupuncturist all the time. There was something that led to it. So if you wanted to start there.
Sure. I would say there's always been a thread in my life where I wanted to just work with people and help with people. So I worked with, nonprofits. I got my degree in social work, but it really wasn't until I had that bout with chronic pain that you mentioned that really prompted me to completely do a life change and become an acupuncturist. I was working like a desk job at the time and would leave work at the end of the day, and my arms would just my forearms would just be really achy and uncomfortable. And I just thought, okay, this is random, but pushed on. I was a warrior, like you said. But then it really progressed and got to the point where anytime I was on a computer, it just would flare and cause this excruciating pain. And then, it affects every aspect of your life, carrying groceries out of the car, opening a can, cutting an onion, washing my hair. And, I was in my early 20s at the time, and it really freaked me out. And then probably like a lot of other people, you start the dog and pony show between workers' comp doctors who were either like, oh, you're fine, go back to work, or you need surgery, but never told me what for. So I kind of had to take it upon myself to really figure out what's going to help me. And I'd known about acupuncture. I thought it was a fascinating holistic form of medicine. And so I started getting treatments to really help myself. And I really believe that that's what turned it around, that I could really get my life back and use my arms again. Right.
Yeah.
And like most people who go into a different field, I was like, this really worked for me. It's a great way to work with people. I had the New England School of Acupuncture not right next door, but in town when I lived in Massachusetts. So it became like a no-brainer for me to do it.
That's so cool. So how long have you been doing it now?
I'm in my 13th year having my own acupuncture practice. Yeah. So it's been fabulous.
That's amazing. So when you had this chronic pain, did anyone ever tell you what it was? Or was it did you have ever a diagnosis of something, or was it just the chronic, the pain?
The closest I really got to a diagnosis was really from an occupational therapist that I went to see. And they're like, oh, I think you have just repetitive strain injury, which seemed to sort of fit. But that was really the closest that I got to anything definitively. Yeah.
So during all this, was this when you were raising your family too, or did you start after your acupuncture?
Luckily, no. I started family after I started acupuncture. Start a new business and have a baby, at the same time. But that would have been a whole nother ball game. But when I did have my kids, it was a concern. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to hold these children a lot, and my arms are already very vulnerable. So it was a big stressor, and I had to just get creative. And it didn't really flare anything up major, which was great. And at the time, then I could just treat myself, which was good, or go see friends. So yeah,
that's so cool. Yes, you could do it yourself if you have to.
Exactly.
I guess certain spots, not necessarily, but
yeah. And I mean, that's why I wanted to do it, because now I have this great medicine that I can use not only to treat myself now, but also my family, my kids, and then, work for myself where I can, manage my own time and schedule based on my family's needs. So.
Yeah. So what has been the best part and the hardest part of the whole switch?
In terms of changing careers?
Yeah.
I I definitely, had those people who were like, you're doing what? And what kind of medicine? So you just kind of I just had to sort of tune those people out and recognize the passion I had and just go for it, even though it was something completely new to me, becoming an entrepreneur. I mean, you go to acupuncture school for 3 years to become a really great acupuncturist, but, learning to
Then
be an
it's
entrepreneur is like a
yeah.
whole different, worms. But I liked that too. So, I mean, that was sort of a learning curve, but I enjoyed that piece in terms of the launching of the business. So that was probably the hardest part. The best part is really just working with people and meeting patients and just the ability you have to really change someone's life.
Yeah.
It's gratifying, and it's, makes me feel like I have the best job ever. So that's the best part.
So how did COVID change your business? Because you have to be close to someone, like touching, like
Yeah,
putting the needles in.
I was closed for a number of months. And then I actually had to change my business location, which was actually a good thing. But, you're in a new area, so you sort of have to market again. But then in a good way, the pandemic enabled my family to move to a completely different state to be closer to family. So now I'm like in the throes of, relaunching my business again in a whole different area. So it's kind of like starting from square one.
Yeah.
So good and bad, from the pandemic. But I think in a way too, it sort of opened people's eyes to like, I really want to take care of myself so that my body's strong, my immune system can deal with whatever come what may. And most people I see are desperate for a way that does not involve, here's another medication that you need to take. And so they're more open and willing to try acupuncture, where you can just come in and take a nice nap and heal your body at the same time.
See, for me, I did acupuncture once or twice, but for some reason I have full body chronic pain. So I couldn't lay still for that long. Like it was like that was where it was hard for me. So then I'm like, is acupuncture good for me? Is it not? Because like I can't lay still for that long. Maybe now because I'm readjusting things and things have gotten a little better. But this was when it was really bad. So I don't know, maybe now it could help a little, but
there's definitely ways to work around whatever somebody might need, whether it's using like a little microcurrent machine for some, like I use with my kids if they don't want to use needles on a certain day, or just doing certain spots, or just inserting and taking out, like that's still going to prompt. But I also try and find other modalities, so I have a lot of tools in my toolbox for what's going to fit somebody. And back to the idea of how the pandemic influenced my business too. Like I'm now really big into using phototherapy in my practice, and I was so grateful to have had that, because that was one thing that I could use or offer to patients when I couldn't see them in my office when I was closed for so many months, because they could just buy the phototherapy patches and put them on and finally have some relief if they couldn't come and see me. And it's still a great way of prompting, physical and emotional changes in the body without medicine or chemicals, just these great, easy to use, but really effective phototherapy patches. So like, for someone who like you, who couldn't maybe sit still for very long, there's still options that we can use to help somebody who's dealing with chronic pain, for example.
That's awesome. Where are you guys located?
Where's my practice?
Yeah.
I'm now in Cornelius, North Carolina. So I left the snowy north to come farther south and enjoy some warm weather.
Oh, I'm jealous. I'm in Michigan. So
yeah, it's going great.
And I'm looking at snow right now.
Although, we're supposed to get 12 inches on Sunday. I'm like, what? Yeah.
North Carolina?
We are. That storm's coming through. But anyway.
Oh no. So
we brought our shovel, at least. We did not bring our snowblower, but we brought our shovel on the move.
So you're at least used to somewhat snow, where people that live there their whole life probably aren't as used to it.
Correct. That's right. Exactly right. Yeah.
So crazy. this weather in general is just crazy nowadays. So another thing, besides being an acupuncturist, you're also a blogger for romance novels. How did that get started? And tell us a little bit about that.
It is a totally different hat that I wear now these days, but I absolutely love it. I've always been a big reader, and obviously a lot of just self-help and health books, but I think it was when I did have my kids, like I just had to tune out the news and just how the world is a crazy bad place. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what my kids are growing up in this world, and so I just needed an escape. And I mean, I just love reading romance for the happily, it's a guaranteed happily ever after ending, which I mean, you can't get any better than that. And so I was just reading all these books and I'm like, I need to do something with it, or I mean, I'm always looking for new books or recommendations, or people started asking me for recommendations. I'm like, well, I should just blog about it in case somebody else is curious. And I mean, I took on this big venture, which I mean, has been a lot of fun. I mean, it's still a lot of work, but I read every night and I love putting my blog posts together. And so it's just a different way for my brain to be creative and completely different from my day job and everything else I juggle. So it's been fun.
And it's kind of cool too, because like it makes you an entrepreneur in that way. So like you're kind of can use some of that same for both.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, learning just the whole online world, marketing, that kind of stuff. And just, it is kind of a new, passive income stream in a way, which helped during the pandemic too, but, as a way to connect with new authors and new books and publishers, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, it sounds really cool. Like your website, I was looking at everything and it was just like, I started on my blog too, like maybe doing more because I'm reading all the time. Like I love books. Like I had a list for this past year, like 2021. I was trying to get to 100 books. I got to 77, but
Nice.
it was really good. It was a couple months, like I only got 4 books instead of 12. But this year I'm trying to get more than that. And I'm already at like 6 books in January and it's only been 14 days. I love like when I find a really good book, like I'll actually read it over and over different times. And it's like I fall in love again.
Yes. And that when I first started, I was like a book series like fanatic where I'd just read one book and I'd read the entire series, or I'd find an author and I'm like, oh, I really like this book. And then I'd go through their entire catalog, and I was at my library like all the time. Gosh, our library system is amazing, but it's just fun, and not just as a good escape, but I learned a lot reading romance, about a variety of topics, like, gosh, I was reading a book the other day, like, someone struggling with, OCD or learning about Bitcoin, or just all these things that I'm like, this is kind of cool, or wow, this author had this interesting idea. So yeah, it's just the variety I love too.
Yeah, no, because it's like one book can be so different from the other, but it's all in that same category.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm definitely like a e-reader or like a hardback or paperback reader. Like I tried audiobooks, but I read so much faster than I listen, and I totally like tune out and I'm like, oh wait, I gotta backtrack. And now I'm just like, no, I don't have time.
So now I actually basically only read on my Kindle. And it's funny, even because like people always like, you don't like the hard books? And I'm like, I do, but it's so much more convenient. Especially when I go on a trip, I could read 5 books in a week. Yeah. Depending how fast I am. So why would I carry all those books with me when I literally have hundreds at my fingertips?
Exactly. And I used to balk at it forever too. But when I had my arm injury, I was like, I can't be holding these like big books open because it's just killing my arms. Right.
And a lot of times your Kindle can like sit, you can even have it like sitting kind of. So you don't even have to hold it and you just go like that.
Yeah, it's perfect. Hmm. But
Um,
now the trick is really like cutting myself off so I get to bed at a decent time and not like keep reading until 3 a.m. I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I doing?
that is me so often. It's horrible.
It's a good problem to have, but yet then I am kind of a complete zombie the next day. I don't bounce back as much as I used to.
Like, I'll bounce back later in the day, but it's like I can't get up in the morning. I'm so tired.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'll be like, I'm just gonna read to this next chapter. But then next chapter, I'm like, oh my God, I have to know what happens. So I'm
Hmm.
like, so,
Yeah.
but no, so it's so cool. Like you get to do all these different things and it's like things you love and you're like helping people. I mean, even with your blog, like you're helping authors, you help readers find new books. So it's really cool. It's like you really do get to help everybody.
Yeah, it's really fun. I mean, I love when readers like email me and they're like, "Oh, thank you so much. I love all these recommendations. Do you have this kind of list?" And it's just kind of really interesting to, you know, connect on a completely different level with somebody. But then also, yeah, in my acupuncture practice, just um, people, you're giving people an opportunity to share their story. Too often they're in and out of a doctor's office so fast and haven't really had a chance to really delve into no, like, are you hearing like this is how it's impacting my life, and that's what I strive, I think, to give people first and foremost, right? Is just
Yeah.
a listening ear to hear your story and to really understand how this is impacting you and how desperate you are for a change. And it's like, okay, this is what I see and this is how we can go forward. It's not your new normal. Like, this is where we're going. And I always tell people too, like, going through that bout of chronic pain, like, it was not fun. Like, it was really terrifying. I'm like, how am I going to support myself? I cannot work on a computer. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know what I'm going to do. But, now in hindsight, it was honestly one of the best things that ever happened to me, because I
Yeah.
probably wouldn't have said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to go back for a second master's degree and incur some debt and go back to school for 3 years and commute to it." Like, what would I'm like, what am I thinking? But because of it, I really was like, nope, this is for me. And my world has changed so much more for the better for doing it.
Well,
And I
that's
can say that
amazing.
that's always sort of the same for, any time that I've had an issue. I mean, there was a period there, like 3 years in a row, like I was in a car accident, I broke my right arm. I'm like, okay, regroup. And then the next year I got a concussion and where I'm like out of commission for a couple months. Okay, step back, regroup, and then I broke
Yeah.
my toe. And it's like, can't walk for a couple of months, so, but each time it's sort of like, yes, your life kind of throws into this tizzy, but it gives you a moment to pause, and
Yeah.
then move forward. So, yeah,
That's true. And you have to like let it because
exactly.
you could be somebody that is like, my life's over, and then you don't pivot from it and just like that downward spiral.
Hmm. Yes, exactly. And sure, I mean, I've had those moments too. I mean, you go
Of
through those
course.
cycles, but then I had to look at it like, all right, maybe not say this is a blessing, but like, what am I learning? Where can I go from here? How is my life going to shift for the better because of it? And go from there.
Yeah. Well, the last part of the show, before I let you promote yourself and say where you can be found, I like to play a little rapid fire. So the real easy questions, don't worry.
Okay.
Favorite drink.
Oh, right now, chai lattes.
Ooh, those are good. Favorite TV show.
Ted Lasso.
Okay. What advice would you give your younger self?
Stretch more and live in the moment more. Don't stress about the future or the past. Just live in the moment.
I like that. And then describe yourself in 5 words.
Oh, um, mother, creator, reader, healer, and happy.
I love those. And the last one is, what is success for you? Like, what does success mean to you?
Oh, geez. That's a good one. Success to me, Right now really is just being a good mom and being patient and living in the moment. I mean, I could worry about work and worry about getting this blog post up or whatever, but success really is just being with the people you love and finding the good in every moment you have, to me.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. And where can my listeners either just find you in general?
More information about me and like even phototherapy, which people can use wherever they are in the country or the world. It's balancedhealthacu.com is my acupuncture website. I'm at Balanced Health Acupuncture. My reading blog is shereadsromancebooks.com. So either of those pages, you can find me.
All right. Well, this was another episode of Hey Alexa, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.